A father's heart stopped when the waiter whispered, "Sir, your card's declined." His little boy stared at the plate of pancakes he might not get to eat. The diner grew quiet. Strangers watched. An hour later, roaring engines shattered the silence, and everything changed. The diner smelled of sizzling bacon and maple syrup. Matthew Harris, a single father in his mid-30s, sat at a corner booth with his son, Daniel, just 8 years old with hair the color of wheat. Matthew had worked the night shift at a warehouse. He promised Daniel breakfast out, pancakes, orange juice, and coffee for himself. Daniel leaned forward, smiling at the stack of pancakes, steam curling like smoke signals. For a moment, Matthew felt normal again. But inside, he knew his wallet was nearly empty. Rent overdue, electricity notice in his jacket pocket. When the waitress set the check down, Matthew's stomach tightened. He slid his worn debit card into the folder. The waitress walked away, then returned. She bent low, whispered, "Sir, I'm sorry. It's declined." The words pierced through Matthew like a blade. Eyes from the next booth turned. A man in a suit glanced over, smirking. Matthew fumbled for another card. She tried again, shook her head. Declined. Daniel looked up, confused. "Dad." The diner grew heavier, quieter. "Maybe try cash," she asked. Matthew pulled out his wallet. $3. Some coins. Not enough. His face flushed crimson. I don't have it." Daniel's fork clinked against his plate. The man in the suit leaned closer to his companion, muttering something that made her laugh. "It's okay, Dad. We can just go," Daniel whispered. Matthew's heart broke. Across the room, a group of men in leather vests sat down. Their boots echoed, their patches read, "Hell's Angels." The diner's atmosphere shifted. Conversations hushed. Mothers pulled children closer. One biker, broad shoulders, long gray beard, eyes sharp as steel, caught sight of Matthew's booth. Their gazes locked. Matthew looked down quickly, ashamed. The waitress returned. "Sir, the manager says you'll need to settle today." Matthew shook his head. He had no one. Daniel tugged at his sleeve. "Dad, I'm not hungry anymore." Matthew forced a weak smile. "Eat, buddy. Don't worry." Heavy boots approached. One of the bikers walked straight toward Matthew's table. The diner hushed. Matthew braced himself. Daniel's hand slipped into his father's, small and trembling. The biker stopped at their table. His voice was low, gravelly, but not unkind. "Heard you had some trouble with the bill." Matthew's face burned. "Yeah, card's not working." The biker's eyes flicked to Daniel. Then he pulled a thick wallet from his vest, dropped a $100 bill onto the table. "Keep eating. Breakfast's covered." The diner gasped. Matthew froze. I can't take this." The biker's gaze hardened. "You can. For him." He nodded toward Daniel. "Thank you, sir," Daniel whispered. The biker's lips twitched into the faintest smile. The waitress approached, eyes wide. "It's more than enough," she whispered. Daniel beamed. "Dad, we're okay now, right?" Matthew nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. He glanced at the biker's table. They laughed, clinked mugs, completely unbothered. They didn't wait for thanks. They just acted, but the bikers weren't done. As Matthew prepared to leave, another biker signaled him over. Matthew walked toward the booth. The gray-bearded leader leaned back. "Sit. Name's Iron Mike. Saw you struggling. Reminded me of someone." Matthew cleared his throat. "I didn't ask for help." Mike nodded slowly. "I know. That's why it mattered. You ain't weak. You're a father. And fathers don't fail when they're fighting for their kids." Daniel climbed into the booth beside his dad. The bikers grinned. One handed him a keychain shaped like a tiny motorcycle. Daniel's eyes lit up. The waitress returned, whispering nervously, "Sir, those men just told me to add every ticket in this diner to theirs." Matthew's jaw dropped. "Every ticket." She nodded. "They said, no family here pays today." The diner erupted in disbelief. Mike leaned back. "Sometimes the world thinks we're the monsters. Truth is, monsters don't feed the hungry." Outside, more bikers arrived, filling the parking lot. Kids pressed their faces to the windows. Fear turned to awe. Strangers approached, shaking the bikers' hands. Matthew leaned toward Mike. "Why? Why do this?" Mike's weathered face softened. "Because we know what it's like to be judged before you speak. To carry scars people never ask about. And because kids shouldn't see their dads broken over pancakes." Matthew's throat tightened. Around him, the diner transformed. Laughter replacing silence. Kindness replacing suspicion. Daniel sat tall, gripping his keychain like treasure. For the first time in years, Matthew's shame lifted, replaced by something he thought he'd lost forever. Pride.